everyone, it's Laura from Granite Company, and I'm here to go through the assembly of the shaker shelf that we have as a DIY kit. So I've already painted everything because you didn't need to watch me do that, and I've got them all sanded and ready to go. So I thought I'd do a quick video on putting it together. In the instructions you'll see what sides to paint and stain or whatever. I was going to paint this side black a little bit, but I forgot when I was doing it all. I just forgot about the second side, so I might have to go back and do a little black. So normally what I do black, I like to do the stain underneath and then do black, so that way I'm not painting. I'm only doing one coat, and when I sand back a little bit, it doesn't look so white underneath there. So that's just how I do it, and that's what'll be along in the kit. Anyways, so this piece here, you'll paint the back side for sure. This is the good side, and the bad side is the part that we're going to cover up, so it won't matter. Like I said, these should be black, but I didn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue these. And I'm going to pin nail mine. And if you don't have a pin nailer, well, you can just gently wait and let each one dry before you move on to the next one. You just definitely want to make sure they're good and dry. You can tape them into place. Just make sure they don't move as you progress to another piece. So I'm going to get my glue out. Now I'm not using Gorilla Glue or anything for this. I'm using some good wood glue. Because the pieces are so big and you're going to go through a bit more glue, so it doesn't hurt to invest in something like that. This stuff usually will dry a bit yellow, so you want to make sure that if it squishes out, that you wipe it back right away. So I'm getting my first piece on here, so we're lining it up so that the tabs are still sticking out, because that's what's going to help put this all together. Just gonna give it a squish, and I will use my pin nailer, but I like to let the glue set just for a moment, so then when I put my gun down on it, it won't slide. So I want to make sure that I'm gonna turn this. You're gonna see me in all sorts of directions, so just bear with me, but I'm going through the process. And okay, so I'm going to take my gun. So when I say pin nail, it means pins. Like, it's really, the nails are that tiny, and they're really nice for things like this, because you'll never see them. And this gun shoots the littlest ones it can, and they're done at 3/8 of an inch. So on our material, that is more than enough. I'm just gonna throw in a couple extras because I can see it wants to come away from the board, and sometimes that's the wood, so that's why it's nice to have a nailer for things like this. All right, now I'm gonna do the other side. So why I do one side and then the other is because that I can evenly space them in between. If you push them really tight and by the time you got to the end you have a little bit of a gap that's bigger, then it's going to look off. So this way I can carefully space, because there'll be a tiny bit of space. They won't be like super tight in there. So that's why you'll want to do it this way. Also, you can always use clamps too if you want to. I think on the listing page for this kit, I've got a couple links there for pin nailers and clamps if you're looking for that investment. But okay. You just don't want them to slide and then it throws everything off. just check. Okay, so, all right, so now the rest of these are on. So see, like if I was to push them up really tight, there's 4. Where's my other one? Oh, right here. You can see how that gap can, just look funny. So this way, I can evenly space out those pieces, because when they're cut by a laser, it has that, the beam takes away some of the wood. So even though a file fits going all the way across, as soon as it cuts that piece, it starts to take some of that wood away. So it's good to try and get your pieces spaced apart, so that way you know how much of a gap you're kind of working with. All right. Squish this one in here. Now I'm probably just going to I have a little bit of time before this really sets, so I'm just going to get a couple of these put down, and I might do them all before I nail them, but it does help to have the ones at the end stable, because if you rush that and you start pushing on this end, then they're all going to be off. So if you have to at least wait till your 2 ends are dry, if you don't have a gun, and you've clamped them, definitely make sure your end pieces are not going anywhere. And if your table's flat, you can even just leave them dry like this. You just got to watch that you don't have any kind of a slope, because as it sits here, if there's any kind of lean to your surface, sometimes these will slide just a little bit while they're drying, depending on how much glue you use. See, I already can tell that this one at the end here, the second one I did, is starting to catch. So I definitely want to make sure it's in its right spot. There we go. Okay, so this one should be good. So I'm going to go nail this one. Make sure this is... feel it ever so slightly got a little catch on the edge here. You might think they're a little bit difficult to use. I can tell you they are not. I haven't always been a person who handled tools. I trained myself, so there we go. Okay, so these are in place. This isn't going anywhere, and which makes then moving on to the next step a lot easier. Okay, so now we're going to work on the sides. Now find my good side and bad side. I think, well, I can't tell anymore, so that's a good thing. Usually I can, but bear with me, guys. I just want to make sure. Okay, we'll try it like that. So these pieces will come in on here. So when you're painting this, you definitely want to make sure you're keeping paint free from all of your notches and stuff like that, because otherwise it's going to make it extremely difficult to put this together. So that's why I catch it when it's wet. So now this one, I'm going to glue into place, and I'm also going to nail. Now if you don't have the nailer, then I would suggest putting both pieces on and then clamp it so that they stay straight and at 90 degrees, because if they go off at all, then it's going to make this piece really difficult to do. So I am just going to grab some glue. Now I'm not using my wood glue now because my space isn't that big. I know this video is kind of hard to, there we go. What am I doing? Hold on. So I need to put glue in all of this area here. And hold on a second. Let's try this again. Okay, so you're gonna take and add some glue to here. And add a little on this side because that other piece will hit that surface. So I'm gonna close that up. So I checked my piece to make sure it fit before I started, so you make sure you're doing the same, because if you have any issues, now is to do it before you have any glue on there. So, all right. So for me, the pin nailer, I can come in here. Okay guys, hold on. I'm trying to do this so you can, hold on, I'm gonna pause this for a second. I'm gonna raise my camera. Okay, I think this might be a little bit better. You're not quite so right there. So with me, I'm taking my pin nailer and I'm adding some in here now so I don't have to wait for my glue to dry. Okay, so that one is nice and sturdy. I'm not going to wiggle it, but it's not going anywhere. So now that I've got the bottom on, see, now it stands a little easier and I don't have to hold it. So your first side is always an awkward side. And now, same thing, put some glue on here. Now, if you're not using a clear glue on these sides, just remember if it squishes out, that you just go and wipe it back really quickly so you don't have anything drying in there that you can't get out after. So yeah, I have a feeling I mixed them up, but you really can't tell. So all right, once again, get that in there. Oops, hold on guys, my table's not flat here. And you want them to be snug. I just wish I had a mallet in here, but my tools are put away. Okay, so I'm just gonna take and add a nail. See if my gun is right in your face. Okay. See, with this way, I've got a little bit more wood to shoot my nail into, but this one just doesn't. Hold on, guys. Okay, so this one's a little bit, well, they're both a little bit wobbly, but that's where the bottom's going to come into play. So now that this pieces are on, now we have to do this set. Now that's why you got to make sure everything is nice and lined up, because it's like a puzzle, and this piece is going to go into all of these. So we want to make sure that it does all fit together. So I'm going to come up this way so you can see what I'm doing. And this is all going to fit in here. And sometimes it doesn't hurt to have like a tiny little hammer, a little piece of wood, so you can tap over top of it, which is what I could use right now, but the garage is torn apart at the moment, so I am just going to, there we go. There. So now that that's in there, I mean, I didn't put any glue, but for you guys that, well, you know, if you're not using a pin nailer, you'll have to get that glue in there or pull this apart and then do it again. Me, I'm not gonna take it apart now. Well, maybe I will. No, I won't. Yeah, I'll just pin nail it in place. It'll be fine. So this piece is unfinished underneath because this piece is going to come in over top of that and hide that. So that's why there's no point doing one of the bad sides of both of these, because when you flip it over this way, then it's all black. So for the moment, this is all nice and straight. So I'm not going to nail anything in here right now. It's holding it. It's nice and secure. So while that's just sitting there like that, I'm going to come in here and put this piece. So this piece is a brace that will go across these pieces and finish that edge up. It'll also be where we put the little notches so you can hang your banners as well. So I'm just going to add this here. I hope I haven't scared you because I'm using tools and you guys aren't and stuff. Just, you got to be patient. If these sides want to pop off as you're trying to get this one on, just shove it all together. If it's still pretty fresh with your glue, clamp it and just let it dry. Don't do anything with it. Just let it sit and wait till it gets, wait till your glue is set. And once your wood glue is set, you should have no problem with the rest. Just having a gun like this just allows you to do it when the glue is still wet and I can hold it all together. So that's why that's handy. Okay. So those pieces are done. Now this is the other one. Like I said, it goes at the bottom and then we'll finish off with this piece in the front. So I'm just trying to get, there we go. Okay, now I gotta stand this up again. I know it's really hard to do this kind of thing on a video, but I figured it would be easier to talk about it than write it out. So now with something like this, you could clamp these edges here. Clamping this one would be a little tricky, so you would need a long bar type so you can pull that in. So I'll, if I remember, I'll go put pictures on the website of the different types of clamps you will need if you do it that way. Even right now, I feel like sometimes, I mean, my pin nails are only like this long, so it's not like they're super like gonna really push that wood in, but sometimes I could use a clamp too, so that's fine. How's that one doing? See, I could go in like a clamp is nice because it still squeezes the wood in as much as you can. And for me, even though I've got it pushed in here, some of the sides could go in like that much, which is really all I need to completely get this lined up. But it's fine. It will be fine. This is two. So this is only one layer thick, so I can't just go shooting anywhere. I got to really pay attention to how close I get those nails to the edge. The back piece, however, is a little thicker, so I can go in a little bit more. corner. So even, see, I got a little bit of a gap here. And that's because, see, I have a little bit of a gap here. See, if I didn't get that in close enough, see, that's where I need a hammer. So hold on a second, guys. Okay, I just did a little pounding there, and I didn't want you guys to hear it in the thing. So having some clamps is helpful because then you can squish it as much as you can. Even if I had clamps, I can still use my pin nailer, which would be helpful in some of these areas where I can just squeeze it in here. But remember, a shaker shelf is old looking. It doesn't have to be perfect. And, you know, other than looking at my sides really badly, you know, it's fine. I'm not gonna scream and yell that it doesn't look perfect. So anyways, so don't freak out if you're having some issues. I mean, look, I'll just give you a close up. See, like I have a little bit of a gap here. So if I had my clamps, I could have squished this in just that little tiny bit. And that little tiny bit sometimes is just enough to sometimes make everything else out of whack. Sorry guys, I'm talking with my hands. So don't freak out like right now. Mine is what it is, but it still works and it's still fine. And it still looks, you know, like it's supposed to. So don't stress. It will serve its purpose and it will look good. And so yeah, I'm just gonna get these pieces on while I'm working on this other piece here. So these line up in your little circles up here. I'd probably give these a couple minutes to dry before you throw the other ones on. I'll nail mine, but it's not, this wood's pretty thick, so it won't shoot in too far. Okay, this one is also double-sided, painted, so just look for your bad side and put it into the inside so you don't have to look at it. I'm just gonna put my glue on here because if I put it on the back of here, some of it is going to stick up past this, and we don't want that glue there. So if you put the glue here where this is gonna make contact, then you know you've got it where it just needs to be. So yeah, see that little teeny tiny bit that I could have used some clamps for. Yeah, just go with it. I'm gonna nail this one down. So this side I've got 2 layers of wood, where the side here only have 1, so I have to be careful. Even though the pin nails are just long, if you get it at the right direction, it can, you can have like a little piece stick out. So yeah, my sides aren't great. My front looks good, so you'll be good with that. Okay, yeah, those are good. I'm just gonna give them a quick little pin nail in there. Now these ones just kind of eyeball. When you do these pieces, just look for the grain in the wood going side to side. It'll just look a lot more natural than if you had one grain going that way and the other ones go in a different direction. If you put them so they look go side to side, then it'll look good. All right, so I'm putting glue there because you don't want to put it on the full back of that, and then just do your best to center them. It's kind of hard to tell, but as long as they make contact somewhere on there, and then if you have to, just make sure that they look about the even distance from the side, and they look, you know, centered this way. I think this one needs to come down a little bit. I mean, you can do your best to kind of look and see. Yeah, you can totally tell this one needs to come down quite a bit, but it is really hard to just get those ones perfectly lined up. But as long as these look, as long as these 2 knobs look pretty close to the same, I think you will be fine. And I'm just gonna let those dry, and then it's all done. So don't let this scare you. You'll do it. Just be patient. Like I said, be patient if you're using clamps. Clamps are great. I will post a couple sets of clamps. Some smaller ones are great for when you're doing this because you can put one at either end and one on the edge. Once you start getting into these ones, it makes it a little tough. So you might have to put some weight in the center as it's drying, because if there's a little bend in the wood or anything, you want it to pull down. So that's the only problem there. But yeah, you can set some weight, like a book, heavy book or whatever, over top of this. And then once that's all dry, do your sides, and that bottom piece, that's where the clamps come in nice, because you can just draw this right in and suck it in really nicely, and let that dry. And then yeah, I mean, if you're doing clamps, I would try and get all three of those pieces on, all three sides, this one, this one, this one, at the same time, and so that way you can get it all lined up. And then once you're done with those three, then you're laughing on the other ones. It just, I think these three will be the ones that give you guys a little bit of a run for your money, but just take it one piece at a time and you'll do great. All right, and you always know where to find me. All right, guys, hope that helps. Bye.